of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mikay. Kumusta po ang lahat? Hindi ako makakuha ng thumbs up sa inyo dahil naka-town hall setting po tayo, no? Pero sana po ay nakapag-inat-inat tayo, nakakuha ng kape, at nakapaglakad-lakad po sa corridor. So, again, magandang umaga po sa lahat, and let me continue with my presentation. At this point, we will be giving you a step-by-step guide on how to accomplish our OPCRF, no? Following the RPMS cycle. So, iisa-isahin po natin itong phases of the RPMS from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Okay. So, let's go to phase 1. Okay. So, for the phase 1, alam naman po natin ito. Ito yung usually natin ginagawa sa phase 1. First is we determine the KRA. No? We determine our KRA. We attribute, number 2, we attribute the KRA to the organizational outcomes. Dati po, in-attribute natin siya sa major final outputs or MFOs, no? Pero ngayon, dahil nagbabago po ang panahon, we already have that basic education development plan, pillars, the matatag, and of course, our usual general appropriations. No? And number 3, we set the objectives. We set the timelines and rate allocation. We identify the performance targets and performance measures. And lastly, ito po yung bago, we determine the means of verification. So, iisa-isahin po natin itong mga steps na ito. For purposes of presentation, balik po muna tayo. For purposes of presentation, I will be focusing on part 1A and part 1B of the OPCRF, no? Because, gaya po ng sabi ko kanina, yung part 1C is already prescribed in our interim guidelines because those organizational effectiveness measures are already mandatory for our PBB or for our oversight agencies. No? We have certain laws and regulations that mandate itong mga contents of our Part 1C. And so therefore, we have already prescribed the objective statements and the performance indicators for each of the subcomponents of Part 1C. Okay, let's go into Part 1A. First is we will determine the KRA. No? Alam naman natin ito. In our usual OPCRF, we do have a column dedicated for the key result areas. So for both Part 1A and Part 1B, meron tayong KRA column. And ang ilalagay natin dito, basically, no, for our schools, we have a prescribed key result areas that are aligned with the SBM dimensions or domains, no? So masaya po ba tayong lahat dito? I know that for the longest time, wala pong malinaw, no? Or walang official document that will say kung ano talaga yung KRAs ng ating schools. So right now, we are providing guidance to our dear school heads kung ano ang gagamitin nating KRA for our school. So kung makikita nyo po sa ating SBM, we have domains, no? We have many domains of the SBM. 6, no, na domains of the SBM, and we will be using those domains as the school KRAs. So both Part 1A and Part 1B, both will be using those KRAs. However, no, hindi naman po ibig sabihin na meron tayong 6 KRAs in Part 1A ay 6 din po yung sa ating Part 1B. As mentioned earlier, kung ano lang po ang meron tayong mga innovations, interventions, no, or initiatives na ginawa, yun lang po yung lalagyan natin ng specific, no, na entry dito sa ating Part 1. Okay, let me show you in the next slide. Yan. In the next slide, these are the KRAs. No, as an example, we also have presented this slide to our regional directors, schools division superintendent, and school. Yesterday. No, um, we have some made some sort of modification in the KRA of our regional director, the office of the regional director, and the office of the assistant regional director, as well as the office of the schools division superintendent and ASDS. No, ito na po yung kanilang KRA. Very slight difference lang po from their existing. But what is new is the orange column, the KRA for our school. So we have six, no? KRA 1, curriculum and teaching, KRA 2, learning environments, KRA 3, leadership, 4, governance and accountability, 5, human resource and team development, and 6, finance and resource management and mobilization. So in a nutshell, ito po dapat ang ginagawa ng ating newspapers. So all these subcomponents or all of these dimensions should be present in all our schools regardless of typology, regardless of size, regardless of whether nasa rural siya or urban. We should be able to capture all of these dimensions of the school-based management. No? And all of these things, ito din po yung sana nakaka-capture natin in our OPCRL. No? And we will be uploading in our RPMS library a document, the official document showing these KRAs along with along with details, no, on the objectives portion and the specific roles and responsibilities under each of the KRA. Abangan nyo lang po yan doon sa ating RPMS library. And just a reminder also, when you access the RPMS library, please be reminded to use your DepEd email. No, so anyone who has the link, nandito naman po sa ating Q&A section yung link. Anyone who has the link may be able to access our RPMS library. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. In the next slide, gaya po ng lagi-lagi namin sinasabi, the intention of the interim guidelines is to clearly cascade our organizational outcomes into actionable delivery unit objectives or action steps. No, and what is very explicit in our form is that we have 3 columns, each for the organizational outcome or framework that we have. So the first column is dedicated for the GAA outcome attribution. So kada KRA po natin ay pwede natin i-attribute appropriately and accordingly into the GAA programs and sub-programs. We have 5, no? The education policy, basic education inputs, inclusive education, we have support to schools, and we also have the education human resource development. So those are the sub-programs na pwedeng nagko-contribute po tayo as a school or as a delivery unit. We also have the BEDP outcome attribution, specifically access, equity, quality, resiliency, and well-being, and of course the enabling mechanisms, governance and management. So pwede po tayo mag-attribute dyan, depende sa KRA natin or sa objective natin. Number 3, we have a column dedicated for the Matatag agenda. So we have 5, making curriculum relevant, taking steps to accelerate a delivery of basic education facilities and services. Number 3, taking good care of our learners. And number 4, giving support to our Hello? Hello? Audible na po ba ako? Okay. Sige, pasensya na po kayo. Nag-aagawan po kami ng internet dito sa opisina ngayon. Again, no, we have specific columns for each of these organizational outcomes. And depende po sa ating KRA or depende po sa ating objective, we should be able to attribute these, no, to the attainment of this organizational. In the next slide, okay, this is a sample attribution. Okay, so if you notice kanina, our regional director has a KRA on curriculum management. Our SDSS, no, has a KRA on curriculum implementation, and our schools under the SDM domains, no, we have a KRA of curriculum and teaching. No, all of these initiatives under these KRAs may be contributing to the GAA programs, to the BETI pillar, and to the Matatag. No, as the core service of the basic education sector, dapat lang po, no, na nahihit natin itong mga organizational outcomes. So for the GAA, pwede pong multiple yung ating attribution. Pwede pong cross-cutting yung ating mga contribution. So for example, under curriculum and teaching, we may be able to respond to the basic education inputs program. We may be able to also respond to inclusive education program or support to school and learners program. And under BEDP, we may also be able to respond to our initiatives under access, equity, and quality. And of course, for the Matatag, no, we can make the taking steps in accelerated basic education delivery and taking good care of our learning. So all of these things may be, addressed by our efforts in doing our programs under curriculum and teaching KRA. In the next slide, please. In the next slide, I will be discussing the details, no, medyo mas nasalimot na tayo dito, the details on how we can craft our objectives, our timelines, weight allocation, no, and performance targets. So for the objective, as you know, it is based on the set KRAs and their attribution to the organizational outcomes. Gaya po ng lagi nating ginagawa, no, sa Debit Order number 2, it's still a discussion and an agreement between the rater and the ratee. Depende po sa agreement ng rater and ratee kung ano yung priority natin for this specific fiscal year. No? Ano ang tutok natin ng mga programa for this specific fiscal year. So, ganun po natin siya, ano yung priorities ng division office, for example. So, those can be part of our objectives. No? As a general rule, we can set at least 3 objectives per KRA. No? Pero pwede naman po tayong lumagpas doon, depende po sa priorities of our as identified by the rater and the rater for that specific school year. So may mga nagtatanong po sa amin, in the Debit Order number 2, we are limited up to 3 to 5 lang na KRA. Ngayon po ba pwede na kami sumobra sa 5? No? Bilang ang reference po natin for crafting our KRAs are for schools, for example, ito na pong pinag-prescribe natin na SBM aligned KRA. So, pwede na po tayong lumagpas sa 5. So long as ito po gagamitin natin na document. Okay, let's go to the weight allocation and the timeline. Okay, so for the timeline, it is defined as the target date of accomplishing each of the performance objectives. And again, it is an agreement between the rater and the ratee kung kailan po natin ito target ma-complete or target ma-accomplish, no? And for us to be able to also align it with our work and financial plan, or in the case of our school, we have the annual improvement plan. Dapat po tugma no, yung ating mga targets or timelines na nakapaloob sa ating annual improvement plan or AIP, at kung ano din po ang nakalagay sa ating OPCR. I'm sure marunong po tayo niyan, ano? Ang ating mga school heads ay alam na kung paano po ito ina-align na dalawang dokumento na ito. But we still advise that you coordinate with the Division Office Planning Office so that sure po tayo no na talagang tugma po yung mga aligned, and of course harmonize din po yung efforts ng buong division office. Next is the weight allocation. No? In the assignment of weight allocation, it shall be done by objective. No? Kada objective, meron pong karampatang weight allocation. At paano po natin ito dinidetermine? It shall depend on the nature and scope of work, the difficulty and complexity of accomplishing the specific task, program, or project, and required time to finish the specific task or to achieve the objective, no? And to provide you with an illustrative example, no? Dito po, paki-zoom in po sa ating illustrative example. You can assign, no? You have the flexibility to assign weight allocation for each objective so long as hindi po siya lalagpas doon sa weight allocation of the specific portion or specific part of the OPCRF. So for part 1A, since it comprises 60% of the total office performance rating, lahat po ng objectives natin under part 1A should total to 60%. Okay, next slide please. Okay, now let's go to performance targets. Now, in our existing OPCRF, very generic po no yung ating manner of setting the performance targets. But right now, we have added two elements no in our performance target so that we would it would be clearer no and more concrete po yung ating targeting, no? Performance targeting. So for the value performance target, we can set it either using a numerical value, a statistical value, or a trend. No? So for example, for kami po sa central office, for example, usually as policy developers, no, ang usual namin pong output, no, or performance target is the number of number of policies, no, na i-issue for a specific performance cycle. So we can use either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different orders issued within the performance period. In the case of school, pwede po tayo, for example, ilang programs yung under the math, no, under math, yung i-implement natin, no, within the fiscal year. For ilang learners yung target natin, ilang specific learners yung target natin accommodate or to be enrolled in a specific school year. So, pwede po natin siyang ilagay dito. Or in terms of percentages, halimbawa po, retention rate or completion rate, pwede po natin siyang i-indicate as a form of a statistics. No? 90% or 83% of learners have completed, no, within by the end of the school year. No? So, if we want to measure the completion rate, pwede po natin gamitin yung statistics. Or yung trend, no? Decrease, 2% decrease in dropout rate. No? Pwede po natin siyang gamitin as a performance target. Now, Again, the performance target is depende po sa agreement ng rater and ratee. So, hindi ko lang po, ah, ah, iba-iba po no, yung manner ng ating mga division offices in harmonizing the performance targets and in setting the performance targets of each of our schools no, within their jurisdiction. But in that manner, somehow the division office or the school's division superintendent as your uh, either rater or approving authority will be able to set the appropriate performance targets in each of these objectives. Okay, next slide please. Here is a sample no, of how we do objectives, timelines, weight allocations, and performance targets. So for example po, at the regional level, kunwari lang po ito, ha? Okay, hindi po ito cast in stone. This is just for purposes of presentation. For example, at the regional level, kunwari po si Region 11, hello po sa mga taga-Region 11, under the KRA of the Regional Director, Strategic Leadership and Management, he or she has targeted no as an objective he or she wants to achieve no, the regional office wants to achieve the targeted completion rate for the school year. Yun po yung kanyang objective statement. At gusto niya po yun ma-achieve by June of 2025. And ang weight allocation po, kunwari lang din po, 4% of the total total performance no, of the regional office. And the value, no, kunwari po, for elementary, the regional office targets 95% ang kanilang completion rate. And for secondary, 83%. Kunwari po, yung kanilang completion rate. And when the regional office cascades this down, these targets down to the division offices, for them to be able to achieve 95% of completion rate in the elementary. Sabi po ni RD, kunwari ni RD, dapat lahat kayo 95% din yung ating target completion rate. Para at the regional level, 95% tayo. No? Pwede rin pong iba-iba. Depende sa baseline level ng kanilang completion rate. So, yun din po ang ita-target ng ating division. Yes. Ngayon, nag-performance planning din po at the division level. Sabi po ni SDS, okay, para ma-achieve natin yung sinabi po ng regional director na 95% completion rate in elementary and 83% completion rate in the secondary, we should be able to reach this target. And so therefore, we will be setting performance targets or completion rate targets no for each of our schools no. So kapag ganun po yung naging process or naging approach no ng ating division office, pwede po na ang ating mga schools or talagang dapat naman no na ating mga schools ay meron din accountability in terms of completion rate no or completion ng ating mga learners. So, si Davao City National High School, bilang siya po ay secondary, capture niya din kunwari yung 82% na completion rate. No? So, that will be the school's official performance target for that specific school year. So, pwede pong ganyan yung sample natin. Now, the national level target of 83% na completion rate indicated in the GAA is now trickled down at malinaw na naibaba natin up to the school level. So yun po ang goal natin in this endeavor. Another example, kunwari po sa NCR, meron tayong target at sa GAA po no, on the proportion of learners achieving at least nearly proficient in the National Achievement Test. So we have that as a target. And the national level, we have 54% elementary, 39% junior high school, and 27% senior high school. So kunwari po, these figures are also adopted by the regional office in the division office, no? So pagdating po sa school, si Marikina City Elementary School, for example, ika-capture niya po yun sa kanyang OPCR. That 54% of their learners, no, are achieving at least nearly proficient in the national achievement rate ng elementary. Okay. Now, the big question is, ma'am, hindi naman po taon-taon may not, at hindi rin po taon-taon kasama po kami doon sa schools na kung saan ina-administer po yung NAT, no, or napipili for the NAT. So ibig sabihin po, in those cases, yung specific school na yon need not capture, dahil wala po siyang basis for his or her performance, no, need not capture these specific organizational. So ganun po yun, no? Kapag ka po ang specific objective or specific org outcome is not applicable doon sa ating delivery unit, hindi po natin siya kailangan isama. What is important is we capture our office functions, our office KRAs as usual, at if under those office KRAs, we have identified specific organizational outcomes that are the organizational outcomes that we are contributing to, dapat po na ilalagay natin yun sa ating OPCR. At dapat po na-attribute natin yun. Okay po? Sana po malinaw. Okay. In the next slide, gusto naman po namin i-discuss paano yung objectives, no? Objectives, timeline, weight allocation, and performance targeting, no? Nung part 1B, innovating and intervening, no? So again, hindi naman po lahat ng KRA natin as indicated in the in Annex D of our interim guidelines, ay kailangan meron tayong innovating and intervening. Pero remember, this comprises 20% of your total performance rating. So we are encouraging po, no, for purposes and in the adherence to the principle of continuous improvement. Marami naman po tayong innovations, no, at the school level lalo, and it's just a matter of documenting and reporting these innovations and interventions dito sa ating OPCRF, no. So kung meron po tayo niyan, ilagay po natin dito sa ating OPCRF. Halimbawa po, we did something on developing a system to properly disburse funds. Yung ating MOE. Kunwari po, integrated school, malaking school, mahirap na po natin siya, no, yung ating financial records. So kunwari si principal, meron siyang innovation on how to gumawa siya ng tools, gumawa siya ng system on how to properly disburse funds, no, na walang human error, no, or kunwari po si school, meron siyang sarili niyang paraan kung paano mas maging efficient yung enrollment process, no, or yung submission ng ating mga school reports, no, distribution of our materials, no. So if we have these on innovations, we should be able to capture them under part 1B, no. They are not necessarily, sabi nga po dito sa the definition, they are in a way supporting, enabling, or contributory to the achievement of the organizational commitments and KRAs indicated in part 1A. Okay po. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is an example, no? Pero ito po ay sa central office, no? Sa central office, pero makaka-relate po kayo. As you know, we have developed an online system on the collection and consolidation of teacher performance data. No? That is something that something that we did so that we would be able to instantly, hindi naman po instantly, more efficiently, no, collect and analyze our teacher performance through our EIPCRF online collection and consolidation system. So that is one innovation that we did, no, at our level, and we can put that in our part 1B of our OPCR. So sana po no tayo din ay magkaroon ng mga ganitong innovation or ma-document natin yung ating mga innovations through our OPCR. Sige po, next slide. Now we go to the performance measure. So isa po ito sa pinakamahirap gawin, ano? Mahirap gawin pagdating sa ating OPCRF or even IPCRF. Ang kaibahan po ng ating new format, no, with the old format is that ngayon po meron na talagang specific sections or specific columns or cells for each of the quality indicators. So for quality, talagang gusto natin i-define ano ang ibig sabihin ng 5, ano ang ibig sabihin ng 4, ng 3, ng 2, and 1. At ihiwalay natin siya in terms of quality, efficiency, and timeliness. Sa existing po kasi natin na template, nakalump po siya na yung ating ETE. So medyo mahirap for the rater, no, to evaluate kung talaga bang karapat-dapat ang rating na 5, ng 4, ng 3, 2, or 1. So in this manner, mas objective ngayon yung ating performance review and evaluation. Again, we still follow within the bounds of our Method Order 2 and the SPMS of the Civil Service. So we're still using the 5-point rating scale, no? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no? Rating for our performance. Kahapon po may nagtanong sa amin, pwede po ba kami maglagay ng rating na may decimal points? No? Pwede po bang halimbawa for quality, hindi naman siya naka-reach ng 5, pero hindi rin siya 4. Pwede po ba kami magbigay ng 4.5, no, na rating for each, no? Kaya po nang sabi ko kanina, dapat po dinidefine natin ng malinaw na malinaw yung kada rating, yung kada performance indicator. Kung siya po ay 5, no, dapat nakapalood doon, ano ang descriptor natin? Anong basihan natin to say that this is 5? Anong basihan natin to say that this is 4? Now, if we have a middle ground, that should also be defined. Maybe at the start pa lang of the performance planning and commitment, we should have been identified. You should have identified already na itong middle ground na to ay dapat bigyan natin ng probably 4. I-adjust natin yung ating performance kung talagang meron tayong middle ground. So again, yung ating rating is a whole number per quality, efficiency, and timeliness indicator. Should be a whole number. Kailan po tayo nagkakaroon ng decimal point? The decimal point is a result na lang po of our averaging, no? Ina-average natin yung rating natin for quality, efficiency, and timeliness. And also, we multiply it, no, with our weight allocation to get our weighted average. Doon lang po tayo nagkakaroon ng decimal point. But the rating, again, for QET should be in whole numbers. And the rating scale, as defined in the form, should be the basis for our rate. Okay. Next slide. Okay. To give you a general guide on how we should craft our quality, efficiency, and timeliness indicator, we have defined here quality. It relates to the effectiveness and getting the right things done. Ano ba talaga yung dapat ginagawa natin ngayon? No? So that is what we call quality, is the output provided or the service delivered of quality? Does it meet the minimum quality standards, no? Or exceed the minimum quality standards? So quality just focus on the output or the service itself. Ang tinitingnan po natin kapag when we are talking about quality, ang tinitingnan natin is the output, the product or the service being delivered or produced. No? Number two, efficiency. Efficiency relates to doing things right. Paano na? Ano yung manner? Ano yung proseso? No? So it draws focus on the process by which outputs and services are delivered. And lastly, timeliness. Timeliness refers to doing things on time, no? Based on the timeline agreed upon or the timeline requirements. So to give you more, no, to elaborate on this further, we refer to quality as the next slide, please. We refer to quality. Next slide. Okay. We refer to quality as the extent to which actual accomplishment or actual performance compares with the targeted performance. No? So kung sa umpisa po ng taon, we did our performance planning and setting the performance targets. No? Dahil meron tayong performance target na malinaw, no? Ano ngayon yung actual performance? Does it does the actual accomplishment meet, no, the targeted performance? No? So yun po yung titingnan natin pag quality. It also refers to the degree to which objectives are achieved and the extent to which targeted problems are solved, issues are addressed with a certain degree of excellence. No? So when we craft our quality indicators, we may ask the question, is the actual output or is the actual service delivery at par with established quality measures or meet the expected quality of outputs? So kaya po malinaw na dapat dinedefine natin ano ba ang expectation ni raters. Pag sinabi ko bang dapat ako mag-deliver ng ganitong service, anong service ba yung kailangan talaga? No? Ano yung quality of service na kailangan? Ano? So kumbaga po sa ating kunwari po sa mga outputs natin, no, in terms of reports, no, report cards, school forms, no, accurate ba yung nakalagay ng mga data? Kompleto ba yung mga fields na kailangan? So those are some measures of quality. It also refers to meeting the standards, no? Following instructions, no? Acceptability or soundness of the output. Accuracy, completeness, and comprehensiveness of the reports, and client satisfaction. So those are some aspects, no, that you may look into when you draft or reply our quality indicator. Next will be the efficiency. So efficiency naman, it's the extent to which time or resources are used for the intended task or purpose. It measures whether targets are accomplished with a minimum amount or quantity of waste, expense, or unnecessary effort. No? So sabi nga natin, it's how you do or the process by which you have delivered the output or service. So you may ask the following questions. How are the outputs or services delivered? Is the manner of achieving the targets follow the minimum service standards? No? Is the resource utilization of program objectives realization? Are there better, more efficient to deliver program outputs? So these are things you can ask yourself, when you craft your efficiency indicator. In some elements, sample lang na meron tayo dito, standard response time, number of applications acted upon over number of applications received, optimum use of resources. So those are sample efficiency indicators. Okay, And of course, the timeliness, very self-explanatory. It deals with or it measures whether the deliverable was done based on the timeline, no, as agreed upon, or based on the requirement. No? Time-related performance indicators evaluate such things as project completion deadlines, time management skills, and other time-sensitive expectations. So, may answer the question, are the objectives achieved within the period agreed upon? Ano? So, pwede itong claim processing time, target date or deadline, product development rate, no? And delivery time. Sige po, next slide. Okay. So, ito pong example namin, no? This is in the context of our office, the central office. But just to give you an idea on how we could craft our performance indicators. We'll give you this example. So, ang aming pong USEC, nandito po ata siya, si USEC Willie Cabral, no? Isa sa kanyang mga KRA is on policy and direction setting. No? And one objective under that KRA is that we recommend, no, his office is mandated to recommend, can we zoom into the objective, recommend to the Office of the Secretary specific policies, reforms, and guidelines pertaining to the overall human resource and organizational development. So yan po yung kanyang objective. So now, given that objective, the challenge is how to craft the quality, efficiency, and timeliness indicator. Can we zoom in to the quality indicator? Okay. So again, ang sabi doon, no, sa quality indicator, it should measure the soundness, no, or it's that it's soundness of the output, or it should answer, it refers to getting things, or sorry, getting the right things done, no? So, given that guidance, ano-ano ba yung mga measure natin of quality? When we say policy recommendation or drafted order, anong ibig sabihin nun? Ano ang masasabi nating dekalidad na policy proposal? So we have identified here some elements of a quality output or a quality policy. Number one, is it consistent with existing laws, policies, and guidelines? No? May mga batas bang pinagbabasehan? Or hinugot lang ba natin ito kung saan? No? Number two, is it aligned with the agency's strategic goals and directions? No? Ito bang polisiya na to ay aligned sa sinasabi ni during press conferences? Aligned ba ito with the matatag agenda? No? Does it contribute to the basic education development plan? So those are some measures of quality. Number three, does it directly address the identified policy issues or gaps? No? Kaya necessary yung consultation. Meron bang mga problema at the field level na gustong sagutin nitong specific policy nito? Getting the right things done. Kasi kung hindi naman problema, ba't tayo mag-i-issue ng policy? Na? So it's getting the right things done. Number four, is it supported by due diligence through a complete staff work? Meron bang policy options provided? Ano yung mga implications? Did you do a scenario analysis? No? What are the other recommendations? What are your recommendations based on the scenario analysis? Okay. Next, is it compliance with the DepEd guidelines on policy development process? Dumaan ba siya sa proper na policy analysis? No? Consultation. Dumaan ba siya sa validation? Dumaan ba siya sa review of stakeholders? No? So these are, it can be a measure of quality. Meron bang, is it complete with the critical policy elements? Meron ka bang implementation plan? Meron ka bang M&E plan? Meron ka bang presentation materials, executive briefer that will support decision making or sound decision making of the secretary? So if these elements are all present, we can give a quality rating, no, under quality of 5. No, and if some of these elements are absent, maybe we can give a rating of 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. No, so that is a sample on how we can craft our quality indicator. Now, efficiency, sabi doon, is how efficient yung proseso yung tinitingnan natin. So kung for example, si Yusek ko ay tinarget niya na for this specific fiscal year, meron siyang 20 policies targeted to be issued at na-issue niya yun within the fiscal year. That means that they have an efficient process. No, that could mean that they have an efficient process. So if all policies are issued, pwede pong bigyan natin ng 5. No? And if hindi naman po, meaning medyo nagkaroon tayo ng problema in terms of the process, no? In terms of efficiency, then we can give a rating of 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. And of course, the timeliness. Kailan ba ito plano i-issue? Kailan ba natin plano ang completion of all of these targets? So if we meet the timeline, then we can give a 5. So that's self-explanatory. That's the same way that we can craft our quality, efficiency, and timeliness indicator at the school level. So it's a matter of, being creative enough in really defining, our measures. Bakit po? Because, pagdating po sa dulo ng taon, para maiwasan po natin yung mga argumento, mga diskusyon between hindi kanais-nais na diskusyon, apela, pagdating sa ating performance rating, mas malinaw na policy na performance indicator, mas objective na performance rating. No? So yun po ang ating goal in crafting our QET. Okay? In the next slide, meron pa ba? Next slide. Okay, the means of verification. Our schools is very, very familiar with MOVs. No? So ano-ano ba talaga itong mga MOVs na ito? Basically, our MOVs are official documents, reports, or any output that will show the achievement of actual results as certified by authorized official. No, may mga nagtatanong sa amin, is it one and the same as the actual accomplishment? No, not necessarily. So halimbawa po, ang target ay completion rate. 83% completion rate. That is the performance target. And that is, kunwari, the actual accomplishment. Now, what is the document that will show that we have achieved this certain percentage? No? So, ano po ba ito? Is it a report that we submit to the division office? No? Is it the report that is indicated in our EBIS? No? Yun po ba yung ating mga measures of yun po ba, ano-ano itong mga reports na ito that will show the actual achievement of the result as certified, for example, by the planning officer or the school's division superintendent. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so for the part 1C, as mentioned, meron din po meron din po siyang objectives, meron din po siyang weights, timeline, and performance indicator. Pero ang kaibahan po natin for the part 1C, hindi na po kayo mag-iisip, katulad ng part 1A and B. Because in the next slide, we will show this is already prescribed, and we are showing here the element or the subcomponents of the part 1C. As mentioned, part 1C, organizational effectiveness, are the mandatory objectives that are required, or the mandatory performance outcomes that are required by the oversight agencies the oversight requirements specifically under the performance-based bonus. No? So taon-taon po sinisingil tayo in terms of budget utilization rate. At tama naman. No? Binigyan tayo ng pondo, dapat nagagastos natin siya. Minsan nga kulang pa eh. So feeling ko, achieve naman natin itong financial stewardship and operationally the budget utilization rate. Number 2, streamlining of process improvement. No? So we have the QMS, we also have the Citizens Charter, no, Anti-Red Tape Act, we have the ease of we have all of these things that we as mechanisms for streamlining or continuous improvement. So meron po tayong performance outcome specific for that. And lastly, we have the client satisfaction, no? Refers to the resolution and compliance rate of the to the hotline 8888 or contact center ng bayan within the prescribed processing time in accordance with ARTA, no? Or the ease of doing business standards. So ito pong tatlo na to, nilagyan na po natin sila, no, ng karampatang objective statements and weight allocation and of course even performance indicator. So for example, under budget utilization rate, the quality indicator could be the budget. Paano natin nasasabi na of quality, no? Walang problema doon sa ating budget utilization rate. So our quality indicator could be that the budget allocation is dispersed within the reglementary period with no overdraft or disallowance from oversight agencies. Pag meron, pwedeng may problema, no? Pwedeng hindi quality yung ating budget utilization. Efficiency, nagastos ba lahat? No? Budget is utilized according to the BUR target based on the official report of the finance section or finance unit. So kung 98% yung target, budget utilization rate at na-achieve natin yung 98%, then that will correspond to a rating of 5. Now, timeliness is a little bit more strict, no? Hindi siya simpleng na-disburse ko siya by the end of the fiscal year, no? Ang gusto natin nakita, na-disburse ba siya or na-utilize ba siya sa panahon na dapat na-utilize siya. Sige po, taas po, no? So, for example po sa ating mga schools, no, meron tayong binibigyan po tayo, no, inire-release sa ating yung ating MOE or petty cash ba, no, on a monthly basis, and we have to utilize those within a certain period, no. So sa ating timeliness, we could have, no, we have set, no, the timeliness indicator such that the budget is utilized according to the quarterly disbursement program. No, sa WFP natin meron po tayong ganito, no, meron tayong this monthly disbursement program. So nasusunod po ba 'yon? Kasi hindi naman po pwede na sa dulo ng taon lang tayo gumagastos, no? Kailan ba siya kailangan? Doon ba siya nagastos, no, yung ating mga pondo? Okay, so that's it for the part 1C of our form. So again, kukopyahin nyo na lang po siya. Now, let's go to part 2 of our OPCRF. The part 2 should deal with the competencies, and it comprises 5% of the total performance rating. So again, leadership competencies have 3 subcomponents: leading people, people performance management, and people development, each of which have behavioral indicators na po, no? Ito din naman yung nasa existing nating OPCRF, no? Pero mas nilatag lang po natin siya so that each of these ay pwede natin lagyan ng rating, and at the same time pwede tayo maglagay ng remarks kung meron. no? Hindi naman po kailangan lahat, no? Para lang tayong gumagawa ng report card ng ating mga estudyante na kung meron tayong observation, then we put in remarks. It's optional. But what is mandatory is we rate each of these behavioral indicators and we get the average, no? For each of the subcomponents. Okay, that is the same for our core behavioral competencies. Yung anin po natin na core behavioral competencies, lima pala, limang core behavioral competencies. I-rate natin each of the behavioral indicators and then we can provide, we may or may not provide remarks or observations in each of the behavioral indicator. But what is required is that we rate them individually. Okay. So by the end of phase one, no, by the end of phase one, konting reminder lang po that that per DepEd order number 2, it's still existing that the rater and the ratee shall reach an agreement. At meron po dapat firmahan. Ano? Ang mga targets po natin ay hindi moving targets. No? So dapat by the end of phase 1, performance planning and commitment, dapat meron na po tayo doon firmahan between the rater and the ratee and it should be submitted appropriate performance management team. Now, sino po ba ang performance management team? Sa DepEd order natin, meron na tayong defined the performance management team, no? They should be the safekeeper, no, of our performance planning and plans and commitments. But we are revisiting that performance management team kasi sabi nga po natin, based po yun sa old plan. So we'll be issuing a DepEd memorandum reconstituting the performance management teams from central office down to our schools. But in the meantime, your existing PMTs at the school level will still be enforced, no? Yung composition natin at yung function nila. Okay, so at this point, before we go to phase 2 of our RPMS cycle, we would like to ask the second health break, no, 5-minute health break. But in the meantime, habang po tayo ay nasa health break, we would appreciate if you could give us or send us your insights, questions, and realization through the Q&A drop box that is indicated. The link is indicated in your Q&A section. Para po kung may mga tanong kayo, masagot po namin agad. Our team is continuously responding to your questions in the Q&A drop box. So maraming salamat po and see you in 5 minutes.
Okay, good morning again. So we will now be proceeding on the continuation of our session, and may I call on Miss Lizette E. Carpio to discuss the phase 2 and phase 4 of the up to phase 4 of the performance management cycle. Good morning, Miss Lizette Carpio.
Thank you so much, Mami Kai. Good morning to all our participants. So, as mentioned by our MC, our host, I will be presenting or discussing the phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 of the RPMS cycle, relating it to our OPCRF, no? Kung ano-ano yung mga nilalagay natin, ina-accomplish natin sa OPCRF in these phases. So, kanina po, nabanggit po ni Ma'am Chanda yung mga information or detalye na kailangan po nating ilagay, i-input po sa ating OPCRF in phase 1, no, during phase 1. So now po that we're in phase 2, monitoring and coaching, ito naman po yung kailangan natin ilagay sa ating mga isipan, no. So for phase 2, monitoring and coaching, lagi po namin sinasabi, this is the heart of the performance management. So meaning to say po, kailangan throughout the performance cycle, performance period, ay lagi nating ginagawa ang monitoring and coaching because this will inform po our performance. So ito din po yung magiging basis, no, dito po natin makikita later on sa ating evaluation, later on sa ating assessment, kung ano po ang nararapat na performance o rating ng ating opisina or ng ating mga individual employees. So, for phase 2, dalawang components po ang meron tayo, performance monitoring. So, and coaching and feedback. For monitoring, this is to track progress in the achievement of planned targets, flag positive and negative behaviors that are observed in the workplace, and plan appropriate action steps. So, in this process also, no, it provides us key inputs and objective basis for rating. So, ayan po, kung sa phase 1 ay in-identify po natin kung ano yung mga targets natin, ano yung mga objectives natin for the school year. So, dito po sa performance monitoring ay itatrack natin kung talaga bang nasa tamang direction tayo. Right? And then for the second component, it's the coaching and feedback. So the objective of this component is to improve office performance and individual behavior. It provides an enabling environment and intervention for continuous improvement. So we want also to highlight that performance monitoring and coaching shall be a proactive responsibility of both the rater and the ratee. Yan. So hindi ibig po sabihin na hindi tayo kino-coach or binibigyan ng feedback ay okay na lang yon, no? We can also be proactive in requesting for feedback from our rater. Okay? Or we can be proactive in conducting coaching to our colleagues, no, sa ating mga teachers din, to improve our office performance. Right? So, ano po yung form na gagamitin natin in conducting performance monitoring and coaching? So, this is the form that we also uploaded po sa ating RPMS library. This is the performance monitoring and coaching form or PMCF. So, I'm sure po familiar po tayong lahat dito kasi ito din po yung ating nilabas na form nung naglabas tayo ng DepEd order ng RPMS, no, noong 2015. So, ang mga schools din po natin, mga teachers, we encourage them also to use this PMCF throughout the school year. So, tayo po as ratee and rater as well, no, sa ating mga teachers, we shall use this PMCF in monitoring our performance, office performance. So, we also use this in providing basis later on in assessing our performance. So kanina po sa Q&A may nagtanong po, ano daw po yung MOV na gagamitin in assessing part 2. So nabanggit niya, pwede po bang magbigay tayo ng MOV in assessing these competencies para para objective. So this PMCF is one of the main objectives nga po no ng ating part 2 for the assessment of our leadership competencies and core behavioral competencies. Kung nakita niyo po kanina yung pinakita yung form ng part 2A at part 2B, meron po doong portion on remarks and observations. So we can also use we can use this PMCF in annotating or in annotating our observations sa ating opisina, mga critical incidents na nakikita natin, na observe natin. And then, we can transfer it later on doon sa ating part 2A and part 2B sa ating remarks or observation portion. But definitely po itong PMCF natin ay pwedeng gamitin as MOV no in the assessment of our leadership and core behavioral competencies. So we just want to highlight here po na for critical incidents description, pwede po nating ilagay dito both the positive and negative observations or performance po na na-observe po natin. So these are actual events and behaviors reinforcing and hindering performance hindering performance which are observed throughout the performance period. So pag lagay po natin yan, can also plan for action steps on how to improve our performance given na ito po yung ating na-observe. Okay. So kailangan din po no ay agreed ito yung ating action plan, yung ating mga na-observe, and agreed po ito ng both the ratee and the rater. And then later on po in the evaluation part, we can use this as basis for our assessment. Okay, next. Now, we're done with the phase 2 for the monitoring and coaching phase. Now, we'll move on to the next phase, the review and evaluation. So for the review and evaluation, dalawang components din po ulit ito. Meron po tayong mid-year review and year-end assessment. So for the mid-year review, we do progress check in this part of the review and performance calibration. So later on po no, papakita po natin kung ano-ano po ba yung mga cases na magko-qualify for us to do performance calibration. But definitely po, for mid-year review, we do progress check. Tinitingnan po natin kung nasaan na tayo sa ating mga tinarget nung nasa planning phase tayo. Okay. And then for year-end assessment, of course, ito po ay ginagawa at the end of the performance cycle. We do reflection of our actual accomplishments and results, computation ng ating performance rating based on our MOVs or presented means of verification. And then we also assess competencies, we determine the numerical and adjectival rating, and of course, we reach an agreement. And then when we reached an agreement, isinasubmit na po natin ito. Then start na naman po ulit tayo sa phase 1. So, tingnan natin po kung ano po ang mga nangyayari sa mid-year review. So, an office-wide mid-year review shall be required to determine the progress in achieving the agreed office performance targets. In exceptional cases, and only if the situation warrants, a one-time calibration of office performance targets, weights, timeline, and performance indicators shall be allowed during the mid-year. Okay, so ano-ano po ba yung mga exceptional cases, no? Take note po natin ito kasi hindi po pwedeng basta-basta lang po tayong nag-change or nagka-calibrate ng ating mga targets, ng ating mga timeline, no? May mga exceptional cases lang po and kailangan ay mapa-approve po ito sa ating performance management team or the PMT sa ating school. So, here are the exceptional cases that may warrant kasi po required na may approval po ng ating concerned PMT, okay? So, ano po yung unang case? Instances when high-level decisions are taken into effect which resulted in changes in strategic directions and a reprioritization of programs, activities, and projects. So kung um, may mga instruction from halimbawa the central office for example na naglabas na ito po hindi papalitan na natin yung ating priority. Hindi na natin ita-target ito for this year. May maibibigay kaming bago. So definitely po ay magbabago din po yung ating mga targets kasi po nasa iisang direksyon tayo as one DepEd, di ba po? So, dyan po yung, dyan papasok na pwede natin i-calibrate ang ating OPCRF. Pangalawa is adjustments in the systems, procedures, and strategies involved in the delivery of committed targets. Example po, use of alternative strategies and work arrangements. So, for example po, sa ating, ito very timely po, no? Nagkaroon tayo ng mga alternative work arrangements because of the yung mataas na heat index sa ating lugar. So may mga adjustments po tayo sa mga sistema natin sa school, sa procedure, so we can calibrate our identified targets or timeline maybe or weights allocation as long as we have justification kung bakit natin ito na propose na i-adjust or i-calibrate. So yun po, no, pwede yan. Pangatlo is changes in the necessary administrative, financial, procurement, and other processes, rules, and regulations that are not within the jurisdiction or discretion of the office and or employee. So kung hindi po natin wala tayong hawak sa ganung pagbabago, changes in the process, for example procurement, of course we need to align sa naging adjusted timeline ng procurement na sinet halimbawa ng division office for example. So kailangan natin mag-adjust din ang ating timeline sa OPCRF, so we can do calibration in that case. And lastly, circumstances that are beyond the control of the RATI, such as natural and or man-made calamities, including typhoon, earthquake, and other fortuitous events. Alright po, so take note po natin itong mga exceptional cases. Now, if qualified ang ating office to do calibration given these exceptional cases, saan po natin ito ilalagay or ano po yung gagamitin nating forms or templates to submit our proposal to adjust. So ito po ang ating template for the office performance calibration. So ito po yung form na gagamitin natin. We also uploaded this in our RPMS library for your reference. So we have here a portion on the original OPCRF content. So kukunin niyo po kung ano yung mga target nyo initially or ano yung part of the OPCRF na ating babaguhin, and then our proposed amendment. Ito po yung sinasabi ko for the fourth column, the justification part, we need to justify our proposal. So pinakita ko po kanina yung mga exceptional cases, so pwede nating maging basis yun, and then we elaborate kung ano po yung ating mga reasons for proposing these amendments. And then, we also have here the rater remarks. Ayan, kung ina-approve ba ito or recommend for approval ng ating rater. And then, PMT recommendation, kung recommended yan or not recommended. So, when that's recommended, we can already reflect that in our office performance mid-year review form or OPMRF. So kung makikita nyo po, pareho ito sa itsura ng ating OPCRF, no? It's just that ito po ay, it's just that ito ay mid-year rating ang nakalagay dito, mid-year review rating and my remarks. So again po, nabanggit ko kanina na yung mid-year review natin ay for progress checking. So dito po natin makikita kung nagpo-progress tayo based on our targets sa planning phase or based on our targets sa ating na-recalibrate na OPCRF. And then, take note din po that the mid-year review rating shall not be, kumbaga formative po, no, itong mid-year process natin. Hindi siya mag-form part doon po sa ating year-end rating, performance rating. Right. So now, year-end assessment naman. So kung natapos na tayo sa ating performance cycle, nakapag-conduct tayo ng performance monitoring and coaching, during the mid-year, nag-review tayo ng performance natin, kung nag-calibrate tayo if necessary. Now, pwede na tayong mag-year-end assessment. So this, meron namang timeline binigay kanina, no, at the end of the performance period po ginagawa ang year-end assessment. So in this part, we do we reflect the actual accomplishments and results. We compute the performance rating, assess competencies, determine overall rating for accomplishments, and reach an agreement. So sa form po natin, ito na po yung titingnan natin. Ilalagay po natin dito ang ating actual accomplishments. Pwede po natin basehan yung mga nilagay natin, nilista natin possible MOVs ng planning phase. And then kung yun po ay na-achieve natin, no, nagawa natin, yun ay napakita natin as an output at the end of the year, yun po yung ilalagay natin din dito sa actual accomplishments. Make sure po na yun ay pertaining to your objective and your performance target. And then, we also do computation of our rating. Ayan. So dito, nilalagay natin yan. Although po yung binigay po naming in-upload po naming form ay naka-automate, may formula na po doon. So, if we input the rating for quality, for efficiency, and for timeliness in this part, sa rating, QET, automatic na po iyon na magbibigay ng average for that objective. And then, kung ano po ang ating sinet na weight for the objective, ay automatic na rin pong magbibigay ng weighted average for that. So for now po, naka-Excel po muna tayo, no? But meron po tayong initiative na ginagawa ngayon sa central office that to automate, no, ang ating mga proseso. So later on po baka mas ma-expound po natin ang ating innovation na pinaplan or ginagawa dito sa central office for RPMs. All right. Next is we also assess the competencies. We also assess the competencies. So yun po, nabanggit na po ito ni Ma'am Chanda kanina. Yan, iisa-isahin po natin yung behavioral indicators. So, titingnan po ng rater natin kung based on our MOB na PMCF, no, kung ano po yung ating na-demonstrate. Ito po bang behavioral indicators na to ay na-demonstrate and bibigyan po natin ng karampatang rating. Ayan. And then, pag na-rate na po natin lahat ng Part 1A, Part 1B, Part 1C, Part 2A, Part 2B, ilalagay po natin dito sa portion na to, sa part 3 summary of ratings ang ating mga na-obtain na score. So, and then, may nakalagay dyan na overall score after we inputted all the scores from part 1 to part 2. And then, we transmute it to its numerical rating in the RPMS rating and adjectival rating. So, ito po yun, no? So, kung nakakuha po tayo, nasa 4.5 to 5 po ang ating rating. Ang overall score po natin, ang ating numerical RPMS rating is 5, and then adjectival rating is outstanding. So on and so forth. Yan pa rin naman po yung nakalagay sa ating DO2 series of 2015. Naka-adhere naman po tayo doon. Alright, and then after that, we do agreement, no, sa ating agreement ng ratee and rater. So, in the agreement portion, kailangan po pumirma, no, ang ating head of office, ang ating school head, at ang kanyang rater. Mamaya papakita po namin yung ratee-rater approving authority matrix. Kasi may mga nagtatanong na din sa Q&A, sino po ang approving ratee ko, approving authority, sino po ang rater ko. Okay, so sa part 4, ayan, so rewarding and development planning, nagkakaroon tayo ng performance rewarding. Yan. So in this, we provide we recognize no the outstanding performance of our of the school, and based on the achieved or obtained performance rating. So ito din po sa uh, RPMS pwede din po maging basis the in um, establishing office-based initiatives to recognize and incentivize meritorious performance. So aside from performance rewarding, meron dito din po natin sa phase 4 ginagawa ang office improvement planning and individual development planning. So for office improvement, yan, self-explanatory from the name itself, no, how do we improve our office based on its performance sa school year na to, or sa school year na uh, um, na assess or um, nabigyan ng performance assessment rating. So based on the rating or performance, magko-comply ngayon ng office ng office improvement plan, wherein meron pong ilalagay na mag-identify siya ng kanyang strengths. As an office, no, ano po yung mga difficulties encountered during the performance period, and then ano yung mga improvement area na pwede nating gawin or focus, no, for the improvement of office. And then action plan, wherein my general objectives, recommended improvement intervention, of course, timeline and resources needed. So generally po, no, although ito pong office improvement plan ay wala doon sa ating previous na OPCRF, but technically magkamukha yung ating office improvement plan sa ating individual development plan. So yun po ang nasa next slide natin, part 4B, yan, individual development planning. So ito naman po yung kanyang itsura. Ito naman ang kanyang form sa part 4B. So here we identify the strengths of the individual, the head, no, the head of office, the strengths, the improvement needs, and then action plan as well, learning objectives, recommended development interventions, timeline, and resources needed. So after that, balik naman na po ulit tayo sa phase 1 for the next performance cycle. So yun po, no, ang ating phases of RPMS. Now, for the interim rater approving authority for the office performance planning and assessment, ito po yung mga ito po yung matrix ng rater approving authority. Papakita po namin. But take note po that this is for the office performance planning and assessment. Kasi may mga nagtatanong po, paano po pag ako ay master teacher, sino po yung aking rater? So yun po kasi ay individual, no? So ito pong ating papakitang rater approving authority matrix ay for office performance planning and assessment. So for individual rater approving authority, you may refer to, sa schools po, no, you may refer to the issued DM, DepEd Memorandum 008 Series of 2023. Meron po doon rater approving authority matrix for individual employees sa school. And for office performance planning, ito po ang ating matrix. Ayan. So for school, so school head, principal, OIC, TIC, ratees, no, your raters po are your assistant or is your assistant schools division superintendent. Then your approving authority, schools division superintendent. For assistant school principals, yung rater po natin ay ang ating school head, and your approving authority is your assistant schools division superintendent. So meron po kaming colatilla dito. Note, in case that there is no applicable rater or approving authority in your school, no, the rater and the approving authority shall be adjusted accordingly so that the next higher official shall perform such function. So yun po yung ating note, no. Pero ito naman pong sa school ay I'm sure naman ang assistant school principal meron talagang school head sa kanilang schools. So, ito po ang ating rater approving authority matrix in your case. Okay po? So, with that, natapos na po tayo sa ating step-by-step guide in accomplishing our OPCRF and the rater approving authority for the office performance. So now, reflection time na po tayo, last reflection time. Pero pwede na po siguro tayo mag-proceed sa Q&A since marami na po tayong mga nabigay ng mga questions. So I'll now turn over the floor, the microphone to our host, Ms. Mikay.
Thank you, Ms. Liz, for providing us your um your your knowledge in sharing the presentations, or in providing us an informative discussion on the phase 2 up to phase 4 of the performance management cycle. I think time check lang po, 11:44 a.m. na, and I will not be giving in another health break so as for us to have a 12 o'clock lunch break po. So now we will now be proceeding po on the Q&A session. So I'll be reading some of the selected questions and will be answered by our session speakers. So the first question is, ano po ang gagamitin ng head teacher in secondary acting as department head? How about a head teacher designated as secondary school head? Ulitin ko po, ano po ang gagamitin ng head teacher in secondary acting as department head? Ikalawa po, how about a head teacher designated as secondary school head?
And thank you, Mikay, for reading our first questions, two questions. For the head teacher po, designated as school head, no, again, take note of the word designated. So kung may official designation po tayo as school head, our form po, the form that we will use is the Office Performance Commitment and Review Form or the OPCRN. Yun po, no? So, sa lahat po ng mga may designation na school head, na PIC or OIC, OPCRF po ang ating gagamitin.
Thank you po, Miss. Thank you, Miss Liz, for answering the question. So, the next question po, why not the central office issue a unified accomplished template with performance indicators, MOVs down to regional, division, and school for OPCRF like the IPCRF for teachers then? The school shall adapt what are applicable to the schools. Ulitin ko po yung question. Why not the central office issue a unified accomplished template with performance indicators, MOVs down to regional office, division, and school for OPCRF like the IPCRF ng mga teachers. Then the school shall adopt what are applicable to the schools.
Okay, thank you, Mikay, for that question. Ayan, si Music Pili, nagbukas po siya ng camera. For the to respond to this question, we'd rather encourage our school heads and our schools division offices to craft the objectives, and to set the performance targets for our schools. The reason being is that each of our divisions and including our schools have their different priorities for a specific school year, no? May iba't iba po tayong targets, may iba't iba po tayong um may iba't iba po tayong mga priorities for specific school year, primarily because iba-iba din po yung context natin. Iba-iba po yung baseline data natin. For example, may isang school po na mababa ang kanyang completion rate, no? So therefore, iba-iba din po yung ating mga posibleng target for a specific school year. So we cannot have a unified, or we cannot prescribe a unified OPCRF, particularly for Part 1A and Part 1B. So, kaya po na-mention ko kanina, it requires discussion and a critical thinking po talaga, no, sa parte ng ating division office and school heads po on how to craft your objectives, timelines, and performance targets, no? Including your performance indicator. So, I think Yusik really will have something to add to that po. Thank you.
Thank you. The interim guidelines that we issued is actually for us to develop that sense of ownership among delivery units. First, we are confronted with, as a matter of fact, several challenges within the situations and the context that we are in, and to come up with a unified or a uniform template, all accomplished, that is actually being prescriptive, not suggestive. And as I have been mentioning this, that for any head of office, you should understand the context of your organization. You need to understand your challenges, your uh, lags. You even have to understand your priorities. For us to better have a thorough understanding of what needs to be prioritized, because uh, we don't have the luxury of time, we don't have the luxury of resources. And by applying the principle of what should be given the first priority, which will have an impact in that principle on other areas, using the 80-20 rule, all of these management functions, we're giving that because it's also clear in relevant issuances, particularly the law, the Republic Act 9155, which states that the school head should be given that sense of authority and accountability within the aspects of its own operation. To give more examples, like for instance, we're saying that our what's this access our access should be at least 99%, but your school is situated in an area where there is some sort of convergence coming from the geographic distances, and there are some limitations on that. But you know pretty well that your school is lagging behind in terms of that net enrollment rate as a matter of access indicator. But if we say that all of you should be given 100%, what if at a certain point, majority sa mga residente natin ay nagmamigrate, and then that would be tantamount to your disadvantage. But if you can still manage to contribute, in fact, you should not be carrying the burden of all of this at the level of the entire agency. But we're trying to measure what could be your best contribution on that. And that is also promoting some sort of agency empowerment, agency flexibility, so that you commit what you think is best without necessarily being too conservative. Because at the end of the day, there will be indicators, there will be some verifications of the attainment of such objective. And you know that the context as well of of the schools from a larger perspective of levels of education, the size, the location, the accessibility, and so on. Uh, we deem it most appropriate that you have a rather a good handle of how do you intend to proceed with that, because it's not really it's not really uh, all about accomplishing at a given point, but also ensuring that there is sustainability in the effort. It's mentioned in a particular portion of the discussion earlier. This can be some sort of process improvement of other things which were not successfully obtained or achieved in the previous year of operation. So on that note, I think it's better to have that leeway and leg room, the flexibility. So you own that sense of ownership, and that sense of commitment is homegrown, uh, so to speak. And in relation to the SBM, and it's the standard in terms of reconciling that. I think that is also that's a good question, but for now, as this is an interim and we are in the process of making really more responsive. But I would like to point out that that standard is a benchmark. So, and I mentioned about the standard setting, standard adjustment, and standard compliance. So on that note, if at some point you're not still compliant to the standard, so your effort, your interventions, your approaches, your objectives should be different for those who are even closer or even has surpassed the standard. And so that comes with the prioritization. So those are the things that we need to consider, and that's primary in establishing the fact that there should be one size fits all approach in doing that. I think that's the better approach. But nonetheless, if everybody has all been on board and everybody is well clarified on how these things can be done, only by then, achieving that level of maturity, probably we can issue that. But again, there is also, even if we do that, we also have to consider that the prescription and boxing the creativity and creativity as well as the uh, those approaches which might not be uh, akin to the one who prepared the template, and that is more of the sake of compliance rather than providing opportunity for growth and ensuring that there is really sort of growth mindsets and productivity at the every delivery unit. That's my take on the matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yusik Willie, for providing an enlightenment to the clarifications of the participants. Actually, nasagot na nga po yung second, third, and fourth question. So, last question na lang po. There are several projects and activities which are required by the CO, RO, and SDO during the school year, which may not be reflected in the AIP. How we accomplish this, can it be placed in part 1B, therefore?
Okay, thank you for that question, no? This is a very valid question. Pwede kasi po na throughout our school year, madami talaga tayong additional, no, na tasks na pwedeng matanggap, no? That is also the reason why we are allowed to calibrate, no, our performance objectives, our performance targets during the mid-year review, no. So you can already integrate the new priorities, for example, or new additional tasks, additional projects that will be given by the central office, regional or division office, no, during the calibration of our performance targets. Now, the question is, pwede ba ito ilagay doon sa part 1B? It depends po, no? It depends on the nature of the task, no, na binibigay. Is it something is it something that some sort of an innovation? Is it supportive to um the achievement of your part 1A, or yeah, and or is it contributory to the achievement of the part 1A, no? It still depends, no? But basically part 1B is an kumbaga po, sariling initiative po siya dapat, no, ng school on how to improve their processes and how to improve their efficiency at the school level, no. So kung may mga additional task po tayo, again, you can add this, integrate this in your performance targets, performance objectives during the media review, as we are allowed naman po to calibrate our performance targets. Thank you.
Okay, Ma'am Chanda. Okay, so I think that would be the last
Can I add
sal-
something on that note?
okay po. Go ahead po, Yusek.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I consider this period as a transition period, and as long as we are still in the process of the maturity that I am saying a while ago, is that uh, my direction, the direction that I have in mind is that to allow the schools really to be more accountable on that. And I mentioned about function services and also the delineation of the work and the nature of services. I think that that's part of the maturity, and as well as the comprehension of how governance level should be working on. So, like for instance, uh, if the activity has something to do with like improving learning outcomes, uh, should we be? Kasi all of us are thinking of programs, are thinking of ano, but is it really coming up with a program, or defining an enabling mechanisms? Those are some considerations. But for now, I understand where the the one asking question is coming from. But that can be answered in the long process of doing this. So sa ngayon, ang focus natin is in the preparation of your OP-SHARE, what are those that you think is best suitable for you to contribute on the organizational outcome. But as mentioned by Chanda, I also consider that as there might be some sort of cascading, downloading of activities, downloading of programs, and we recognize that these are necessary, and then that can be put somewhere in the calibration process. However, if at the end of the interim implementation of that, and we can already define that uh, at a certain period prior to the onset of the ensuing uh, calendar or fiscal year, then probably the planning and programming could happen, and we're saying the integration could be rather be uh, adaptable and flexible. So while the question is valid, and the question is, this is part of, or an area where we really have to look into. Nonetheless, uh, I always believe that things should happen, the school being the center of all of the initiatives that could impact the attainment of organizational outcomes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you po, Yusek, really for the supplemental information providing to the inquiry of our participants. That would be the last question for today's orientation time check. We are now 12:03 p.m. and may to provide closing remarks, may I call on Ma'am Cecil Anyayahan, PDO 5 of the BHROT-HRTT. Magandang tanghali po, Ma'am Cecil. Muli, magandang tanghali po, Ma'am Cecil.
Sino mga Yan, good afternoon. Ay, good morning pa pala. No, so in between good morning and good afternoon. So, good afternoon to each and everyone who attended this virtual orientation, national orientation on the revised office performance planning and assessment guidelines. So, lalong-lalo na po no sa ating pong mga school principal who are here. We hope that we were able to achieve and met the objectives of today's orientation. So, allow me, no, before I close this session, allow me to reiterate some important notes that we've got as far as yung ating pong presentation, especially the presentation of our USEC and Chanda on about the recent issue ones. No, so I will summarize it in three points. So the first one is that the interim guidelines definitely aims to ensure that our office plans, especially at the level of the school, including commitment and performance, account for the achievement and contribution of each offices, including the delivery units in all governance level of the agency's organizational outcome. So very evident po yun sa ating presentation. And at the same time, the second point is that this guideline ensure the immediate integration and alignment of agencies' organizational outcomes in reflecting our office contribution. Lalong-lalo na po tayo sa school, specifically in achieving the strategic agenda priorities set under the Matatag agenda as a direction of the current administration in resolving the basic education challenges. And the last one is that starting this school year, all heads of offices, which includes our school principal po, will use this revised OPCRF, no? Including our assistant school principal. Now, for the salient feature of the forms that we've got, I will basically summarize it in also in a very simple and yet po pwede po tumatak siya sa atin. And this is what we call the 3 A's of the salient feature of the 2024 OPCRF. So the first A stand for, which I explained a while ago, A is for alignment. Okay. So when we say alignment of office performance and organizational outcome. So at the level of the school, kitang-kita po natin, and as explained by Chanda a while ago, ano pa po ba yung mga expected of us and how we are contributing to the overall organizational outcome. The second one is about achievement. So achievements of our commitments, the targets under the GAA, which was explained by Chanda din po in the presentation, aside from GAA, BEDP, and the Matatag Agenda. And the last A of the three A's is what we call accountability. Now, it's very clear to us and evident that there's a clear lines of accountability as far as per governance level. So we know what to account at the end of each school year or fiscal year, and we know whom to account as far as accountabilities of these deliverables and expected targets and commitments based on expected organizational outcome of the agency. So with that po, we hope that this activity was able to enlighten each one of us, especially po yung mga questions natin when we received po the interim guidelines, and we have clarified the provisions of the guidelines. So other than this activity po, we're very open to receive po some of your clarification and question by accessing po the Q&A link. So marami na po diyang mga question. We thought of you have similar or same questions. So sinasagot na rin po ng team namin yan. And we have the RPMS library, of which nandoon yung lahat po ng ating mga resources for this orientation. And we will be also saving in the library po the copy of the presentation or the recording of this orientation so that may babalikan po kayo, kung just in case po medyo busy habang nakikinig kanina, para klaro po and we have that same level of understanding. So again, I congratulate the team of the RPMS unit headed by Chanda for a job well done. Talagang simula yesterday by batch po. Nag-start po kami sa ROSDO and we have the central office and down to the school level po with your participation. So congratulations girls, Chanda, Liz, and Nikay for a job well done on this one. Sabi nga po nila, malayo pa, pero at the same time po, malapit-lapit na rin po tayo sa, changes that we are eyeing as far as, or improvement that we are eyeing as far as the performance management system of the department. So, with this, magandang tanghali po sa lahat at maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Ma'am Cecil Aniahan, in providing us the closing remarks and congratulating the team, and as well as being grateful to all participants who came in this orientation with a total of more than 10,000. So again, thank you very much, and may I request all our participants to kindly access the activity evaluation form, which is already posted in the Q&A section. So this will be flashed in a few seconds. The activity and evaluation form. So again, this will be flashed. Ayan, naka-flash na po. So please don't forget to accomplish this one. Alright. So again, thank you po ulit sa inyong lahat and see you on the next RPMS activity.